Good morning, everyone. It is Vlogmas day 9. I have to go to work. I have some other things I need to take care of before I leave the house, but if I record them, I won't get them done before I leave the house. So I have my gender therapist tonight, much later, so I have some time when I get home, and I think what I might do with that time is go through some of these ornaments that I haven't yet processed through. I kind of want to go into some detail and talk about like the history of each one and how I feel about it and everything, and in so doing decide whether or not I'm keeping them, which is good practice for what's to come. I'll come back to that at a later time. I'm also going to bring my tree to work. I haven't decorated at my office at all yet. Really excited about that. I actually have an angel that goes on my tree that's Angel from Rent, the movie, not the actual musical, because I would have to choose an actor, and I'm like, yeah, let's just go with the movie because that's standardized. Printed that out and put it on the tree last year. It was the closest thing to a trans icon that I could put on my tree, so it was good enough for me. Plus I love the irony. Angel. Makes me giggle.
Hello.
Hello, darling. I have returned from work. It's very moist outside.
It is. It's not a dry day.
No, pretty much hate it. Editing?
Editing, trying to edit, also trying to plot an article for tomorrow, and I'm very behind on things today, so.
Well, you're in luck. We have to go to therapy tonight. Woo! An hour away from home for 45 minutes, followed by an hour-long drive home. Conveniently timed in the middle of the night when you weren't doing anything, right?
Not at all.
No, not at all.
I'm trying to relax, ever.
No. So I'm going to go through some ornaments and decorations that I like to put up around the house that have mixed emotional levels, which always make it somewhat emotionally confusing this time of year for me. But I'm going to start positive. So first up are some ornaments that I made way back in like my elementary school class. They're basically just painted plaster. Like I've got a Santa here, got this candy cane and tree, and a little Christmas tree. Super cute. In theory, you could hang these, but they're plaster, so if they drop on the floor, especially our tile floor downstairs, that'll be the end of them, so I put them up as decor. So when I met Amanda, I quickly learned that she had never made a sun catcher, and like this was so ubiquitous in my childhood that I was shocked that this was not a part of hers. So we made a bunch of them together. These are these little kits that they make where they give you like a metal stencil, and you put in these like glass beads, and then you put them in the oven, and they melt together. So we've got a lovely little snowflake, candy cane. I love these because like we made them together. It's super fun. We've got a yellow skinned Santa. Feels racist somehow. I don't know. It's just like, how do you differentiate the beard and the hat from the like skin, you know? Nice little Christmas ball. Now these we do actually hang up. We put them on the snowflakes that are hanging in the windows so we can see them all the time, so I gotta hang those up later. Cute little penguin, snow person, and a little Christmas tree. So yeah, we made a bunch of those and we put them up every year in our bedroom so we can see them. So I am a super Star Wars fan and have been forever. One of my absolute favorites that I have is this X-Wing fighter, and you take a light out and you plug this in and the thrusters light up on the back, and that just makes me super happy. Always a staple in my tree. It does go back to my parents, and it's quite old, and it's missing a piece or two here and there, but it's well loved, and I still love it, and that's why it goes on my tree. I've also got this little mouse on a surfboard made from a computer mouse. It's captioned Net Surfer. It's a cute little surfing the web mouse. It's like way back before the internet was cool. So that one goes on my tree, even with the connection with my family. Now we're moving on to Star Trek. I've got a couple of different Enterprises. I've got the original. Actually, technically this is the Enterprise A, which is in the movies. Not as good as the original, but much more available, which was the key. We also have the Enterprise D here, but it's from the alternate universe timeline at the end of All Good Things, and it's got the third nacelle, which is really weird, but it is the Enterprise, so it goes on the tree. I've also got a phaser OG that goes on the tree. It does actually make sound, but again, this is one of those ones where I haven't really changed the batteries in a while because it's like super inconvenient to like pay like $6 to buy batteries that'll be on my tree for a month and or just like keep them around and not lose them for a year at a time, or keep them in the box and then lose them in the box. Like, I've tried it. I'm too irresponsible of an adult to make that happen. So maybe next year I'll get my life together enough for that. Another of my favorites is this one of Captain Kirk with the Tribbles. It actually does a clip from the show and shoots the Tribbles down from the bottom, so it like, you know, moves them up to the top and throws them down on him like they do in the show. So funny. That episode is by far the most well-known episode of Star Trek, and it doesn't matter how big of a fan I am or how much Star Trek I watch, I still love that episode. I even love the Deep Space Nine revisit episode where they like cross timelines and everything. So that one's one of my favorites for sure, and it's got to go on my tree, and it's very heavy. I normally end up caving and putting it up as decor, but it always goes on a fake tree because it's strong enough to actually support the weight of it. Not the most practical ornament, but one of my absolute favorites. I've got some older stuff from when I was literally a child. I've got some Thomas the Tank Engine stuff, so I've got Thomas, I've got James, and I've got Percy. I think these were part of a set. I don't know, I was a child. I loved Thomas the Tank Engine more than I probably should have as a child. I've also got this like wooden Thomas here with the spinny wheels. I don't know, it says copyright 1993, so it's pretty old. But then again, so am I these days. I've also got this ancient Santa. God, I don't even know how old this is, to be honest. It's probably got lead paint. I'm probably gonna die. But as you can hear, it's got a bell in it. So if you put it on a surface, you can actually like do that, like knock him over, and he writes himself. I don't know, my parents let me keep this one, and I was very okay with that because it was always my favorite as a kid. I don't know, just something about the physics of it writing itself doesn't look like it should work. And the last story I want to tell tonight is concerning bells. Now this is the only bell that's actually from my parents' house that I still have with me, but there is a bit of a story here. So my mother really loved putting bells on the doorknobs in our house. And my sister and I hated it because it meant that every time you move a door to go anywhere else in the house, you got this stupid bell ringing loudly every time, knocking around, scaring the cat, scratching your dad, and ruining Christmas. So one year my mother got these like insanely huge bells. Like, I swear to God, they were like probably about this big each, you know. And there were 3 of them on a rope with like gold chain through it. And it was just like the most gaudy, ridiculous, awful, terrible bells. So for the first couple of years, my sister and I would like play rock, paper, scissors to decide which of us was gonna get the bells so that we could not have them. Eventually, we reached the point where, I don't know who started the war, but someone did. We would move the bells from one door to the other and swap them back and forth. And this sort of escalated. And like, I need to emphasize, these were the most obnoxious bells in the world. Like, you'd try to close your door and they'd loop around and get stuck and you couldn't close the damn door. Like, it was just so irritating and loud and obnoxious, and nobody wanted them, so we were trying to dump them off on each other. So then we started like trying to hide them. And the next thing I know, we're pranking each other with them, and this became a holiday tradition for literally years. For years, we went back and forth pranking each other with like all kinds of ridiculous things. And sometimes these pranks would go on for days. We'd hide them and it would take days for the other person to discover them. I remember once I put them in her pillowcase. That was a bad idea because she slammed her head down into there and got a hell of a bruise. She once hid them in the shower curtain between the plastic and the like outer part for me. That was one of her highlights. I put them in the microwave, I put them in her car, like, we went back and forth. She logged into my Facebook and set them as my profile picture once, like, this went on for years. And it was always hysterical because we'd be like 3 a.m. just hear, "Damn it, Mia!" But then the Christmas that I cut ties with my parents, my sister drop them off here at the house, along with a box of other things that I have not yet emotionally dealt with in the past 5 years. I basically just put it in my storage unit and haven't done anything with it since then. So next time, probably tomorrow or the next night, depending on how electrolysis goes, I am going to actually go through that box and decide whether or not to keep any of the stuff in there. The bells, however, I shipped back to her and I haven't seen them since. So hopefully they got lost in the mail and no one else has to suffer this horrible fate that we lived with for a decade. But more likely, especially since I no longer have contact with my sister, they're just not spoken of. And it makes me kind of sad, you know, but like, it was based on our mutual hatred of them. So like, I can't really say that it was like unexpected. Like sooner or later they were gonna get destroyed. I hope. Please, God. It's just a reminder of traditions that I used to have that I no longer do. And so I hang on to one bell. I think about the others and think about my sister and my family, and that's about the level of nostalgia that I can actually handle with them. Anyway, it is now time for me to go to therapy, which is perfect timing. I just want to sleep. I have returned, or rather we have returned from therapy.
Always fun.
It was productive.
Yeah.
You know, got a lot of info that I need to process through. However, it does not have to happen tomorrow when I have electrolysis, because God knows I won't be processing much of anything tomorrow except work. Work I always process.
Hopefully.
You know, honestly, work is usually a good distraction on those days. We still never talked about the Christmas Prince Royal Baby movie that we watched.
Yeah, no. We gotta talk about that.
Yeah, but I don't think tonight's a good night considering it's like late and we want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But it's horrible. Go watch it. That's the summary, really.
Basically.
It is Advent calendar time.
Yay!
What are we up to? 9?
Yep, I found it.
So did I. I picked a random one and said, this one's 9.
I got a squirrel.
I got a French horn.
Aww.
I'm sorry, you got a what?
A squirrel.
A squirrel?
Mm-hmm.
Are they referencing Christmas Vacation?
I think they know we saw them in the city yesterday.
Ah, that's it. They do in advance. So I think we're going to end it here because both of us need to sleep. I have a hard day ahead of me. It's up in the air whether or not our roommate or Amanda will be able to be there with me during electrolysis. I've done it solo before and I'll do it again if I have to, but obviously my preference and the easiest way for me to cope is to be not alone and not have to drive immediately after. So we'll see what happens with that. But either way, I am all about killing more hair. Want that to be over. So yeah, that's where we're ending it tonight. Have a good night, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with Vlogmas Day 10.